The federal government has quietly taken another step to make it easier for Hong Kong residents to migrate to Australia as China's government intensifies its crackdown on the city. The Immigration Minister Alex Hawke has issued new ministerial directions which say Hong Kongers who qualify for skilled visas will be given top priority when the department processes their applications. Here's Foreign Affairs reporter Stephen Jedgetts.
Mamie is watching events unfolding back home in Hong Kong with mounting horror.
Actually, I'm always worried about my friends and families in Hong Kong. You don't know what will happen to them.
Last year, China introduced a new national security law in Hong Kong, and since then, authorities have targeted activists, journalists and pro-democracy politicians. More than 100 people have already been arrested. Mamie, who wants to use only her first name, has already spent 7 years in Australia, and she says she'd rather stay here than return and face an increasingly hostile and uncertain climate.
At least I can feel safe for myself. And Australia is quite a good country.
And now, in theory, it will be easier for her to stay. Last year, the federal government announced that Hong Kong students, graduates and skilled workers would be handed a 5-year extension to their visas. And earlier this month, the Immigration Minister Alex Hawke issued new guidelines for skilled migrant visas, saying Hong Kong residents who apply should be given top priority by Australian officials. Liberal Senator James Paterson has long been pressing to open up new migration avenues for Hong Kongers.
It was really important that the government opened up the pathway, but to fast track it is a really good signal to people that if you want to come, you should apply.
He says the cumulative changes will make it easier for Hong Kongers to stay if that's what they want.
Over the last year, my office has already been assisting dozens and dozens of applicants navigate the system, and I hope this encourages even more to come forward.
Hong Kong community groups in Australia have applauded the move, but they're still pressing for more action. Jane Poon from Australia-Hong Kong Link says the government needs to provide more migration pathways to all Hong Kongers in Australia who are on temporary visas, and has to make sure it doesn't focus too heavily on students and those eligible for skilled migration.
You see Canada, they released a migration plan to the Hong Kong people and especially aimed to the Hong Kong young people. I hope Australia government can consider similar scheme to the Hong Kong young people.
Mamie is also pleased by the announcement, particularly as she's contemplating the skilled migrant pathway. But she points out that actually securing that visa isn't always easy, particularly as the government's list of priority occupations is not set in stone.
The government sometimes suddenly change the jobs that's on the list. The change is in a sudden.
Still, it's clear that more possibilities are now opening up to Hong Kongers who are overseas, even as back home they're being shut down.
Stephen Jedgetts.